how is China in terms of like diversity? Like it doesn't, from the outside, it doesn't seem like it's a super diverse country in that it has a lot of different nationalities. But what's your experience with that? Do you feel exotic being in China as someone who isn't from there?
Yeah, for sure. There's not a lot of foreigners here. Most of them are doing like certain types of job. They are neither teachers of an international school, or they are students in a university, or they are models. So those are like the most common uh, people here. Like you can find some businessmen and that stuff, or maybe people that is working in a company, sellers. They are working a trading company or a factory, and they are like in charge of the sellings to, for example, if they are from the US, they are in charge of the sellings the department in the US for the US customers. Or
right.
if they are from Brazil, maybe they're in charge of the Brazilian customers. But most of the foreigners here, they are teachers. I would say teachers.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of diversity. Like still, if I walk in the street, there's a lot of Chinese people approaching me and say, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" Like if I'm Justin Bieber, for me, like I'm a normal guy, like I'm okay. I'm a normal guy, and for especially here in Dapo, in the town where I live, when I just arrived, there were a lot of people like approaching and wanting to take a picture, and it's very common that you find that in China. The people here are not used to foreigners. But to be honest, I think it would change with the pass of the time, because now there's more opportunities. China is more open to receive more foreigners, even for tourism or business. Actually, China just decided to not asking for a visa to certain countries in Latin America, as Chile, Argentina, Brazil, I think Uruguay, but there were like 6 countries that they don't need visa any longer to come here. At least for 1 year. They are like testing. They are like, okay, let's try it out 1 year. What happens if we don't ask for a visa to these countries? What happens? And they're like, for 1 year. But I think that with the time, China will be more open to receive foreigners and to the diversity as well.
But would you say that the average person like on the street is more curious than they are kind of like judgmental? Like people are taking photos with you. That sounds like a really nice interaction. Does that represent like the average person there?
Like not everyone wants to take a picture for sure, but like everyone has like this curiosity, or it's like they are very kind. They are very Chinese people. They are like very quiet. They are people that they don't speak too much. They are a little bit shy, but at the same time, if you approach to them, you can get a good response from them. They are always gonna be like very open to a conversation. If you can speak Mandarin, or if they can speak English, for sure there will be a conversation with them. I haven't had a bad experience with the Chinese people here. They've always received me in a very good way, and that's a good point for China, really. I know. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about, because of course I'm living here and I'm doing content about China, and my Instagram algorithm is everything about China. But I think that there's a hype on China right now. Like it was in Japan in some point. Like everyone wanted to go to Japan. Oh, well, Japan. And now I think that there's like, it's like China is more it's more in the spot right now. What do
Mm.
you think about it? Do you think it's in that way or not really?
I don't know because, like, I mean, for me, I also have my own biases where I also have content from China that shows up on my feeds, because of the people I talk to, especially for this podcast. And also, like, through these conversations with people, it gives me a new kind of perception or a new kind of view on China. Like, here in the West, I mean, like in Canada and in the US, people do not speak well of China.
I
Like
know, I know.
they're very critical, right? And so when I talk to people that like yourself or like Rafa, who's been there for 10 years, I think over 10 years, it does change my view of China of like, oh, that's so interesting. In Canada, we never talk about all of the positive things in China. We don't talk as much about like the cutting edge technology that comes out, the efficiency, the public transit. Like we don't talk about any of that stuff. All we talk about is like, government differences, like differences in government and military and things like that. And so for me, I really feel like I have a new view of China. Now, is that how everybody feels, or is that what everyone's Instagram feeds look like? I don't know. I can't really say.
Yeah, I know that. I know that it was the same for me when I just arrived China. Like, I had a more accurate like perspective about China before coming because of my father's stories, and I made my research about China before coming here. Um, I was aware about the real China, I didn't have this perspective about China in the poverty and China like eating dogs and that type of things. When I just arrived here, I post some videos about China, and they went viral in TikTok and Instagram. And there were a bunch of people commenting in the comments like, "Oh, did you try the dogs there?" Like, and for me it was like, man, this is not the China you think it is, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's more people aware about how is China actually, because I can see a lot of content about how China really is, and it's something that I already talked with some friends in Venezuela, and they tell me like, yeah, like there's more content about China and in every niche, not only about business, but also about traveling and also about like some, I don't know, like jobs and hobbies. And there's more content about it. And I'm like, yeah, you see.
I mean, like China is a country like any other, right? I'm sure it has its pros and its cons, but
For sure.
what kind of frustrates me, and I've never even been to China, right? But just in the media that we receive in the West, what frustrates me is that we only ever hear bad things. And
Yeah.
as far as from what I can tell, anyway, maybe people are talking about things that I don't notice, but it really seems like it's a biased media against China. So it's like, something's wrong with China as opposed to what is China doing right. And I don't like that, because I know from experience going to other countries that no country is completely good or completely bad, right? Of course, Canada is in that boat as well. We do some things well and we do other things not so well. And so it's been cool to hear about what China does well from people like yourself. And so I really appreciate that point of view as well, to get a more well-rounded view of, what's China actually like.